You are using shamanic methods now for a while, or you just have been started with shamanic methods, and you constantly ask yourself, do I imagine all of this, or is it really real? Are spirits real? Well, I got you covered in this video because this is a question I get asked a lot. And there are a couple things that you can do in order to get more certain about your shamanic work and the spirits. Hi, for those of you who are new here, my name is Maddie. I'm a biologist, an author, and a shamanic practitioner. And on my channel, Shamanic Wisdom, it's all about shamanism and how you can implement shamanic methods into your life to make it more happy and fulfilled. This is certainly something that I think everyone has a problem with in the beginning because it is so out of our normal worldview that spirits are real. And when you start with shamanic work or you learn about shamanism, this is exactly what you will learn in the beginning, that shamanism bases on the assumption that spirits are real, that everything has a spirit, everything is alive, and that we can also get in contact with everything on a spiritual level. So this is a mind stretch in the beginning, but it is only if you look at it on from a theoretical point of view. When you think about, oh, there are spirits and I can connect with spirits, and what does it actually mean? That doesn't sound real. But if you start shamanically working yourself, meaning that you start connecting with spirits, with your helping spirits, for example, your power animal, your spiritual teachers, that eventually you will make experiences that will be so real to you that you don't know, do I imagine this now or is this really real? So I want to give you some tips and tricks how to really, for you to decide this is reality. This is my reality, and whatever I experience here is real. And that you can really enjoy your shamanic work fully without doubting yourself all the time. So I definitely had the same problem in the beginning, and I'll just give you a little summary how I started with the shamanic work, specifically if you're new here and you haven't heard my story yet. So I used to be a scientist. I was working as a PhD student at the university in Frankfurt, and I'm like an urban ecologist. So that was the field I did my research in. And I was invited to a conference in Japan, to the northern island of Japan, Hokkaido, where there was a conference in Sapporo. So I gave my talk and I really enjoyed it. And at the same time, I took 3 months out. I just wanted to travel Japan and I just wanted to take a break from my PhD time and my PhD work, which was really stressful for me. So eventually I ended up at an Inu Festival in northern Hokkaido, which was really hidden. It was a beautiful place in nature. No one, I would have never been able to find this myself if I would have not been picked up by someone else and brought there. Because the Ainu, there are an indigenous tribe, an indigenous group in northern Hokkaido, in northern Japan, on the island of Hokkaido, who have this worldview who have this shamanic worldview, meaning they see everything to be alive, to have a spirit, and that we humans are able to connect with everything around us on a spiritual level because we also have a spirit, we have a soul. So that was definitely something out of my normal worldview range, something I really had to kind of stretch all my brain cells to kind of wrap my head around it because it was just so new, the way to see the world. And at the beginning, I was very distant. So they started doing the rituals and they really practiced a whole week their shamanic culture because they're suppressed in Japan. They're a minority and the Japanese government wants to get rid of them. So in order to still live their culture and express their culture and their shamanic traditions, they have to do it in a very protected, private, secure setting. That's why they do it somewhere in the middle of nowhere where no one can find them, and they're safe and just they can work there. And this is where I ended up at one of these festivals. So what they did were some rituals where they really connected with the spirits of the land, of the trees, of the animals, with the river. and also with our ancestors. And the first time in my life, I consciously had contact with spirits. And that moment, it was my grandma. She had been dead for a couple of years. And I clearly felt the connection to her. And I clearly heard her voice while I was doing a shamanic work and a shamanic ritual. And it was so real that, yeah, it was real, right? And after that experience, I also connected to a tree and a stone and the river in a way that it was so real. It felt so real. But my head kicked in later on after I kind of, reflected on this experience, thinking of like, how can that be real? There are no spirits, right? So my logical understanding was really questioning my whole experience, although I was certain that what I experienced was real. So what was the problem here? The problem was that I had a completely different background, that I grew up in a culture where it's not normal to see everything to be alive. Well, specifically me being a scientist, I learned that only, plants, animals, fungi, everything that is able to reproduce, to move, to evolve, to react to its environment, that is the only stuff that is alive. And the other stuff like like stones or the stars or I don't know, these things are not alive, or water. And now I'm here learning that everything is alive because everything has a spirit. And on top of that, I am able to connect to everything on a spiritual level. That was really something I've never learned or experienced in my normal culture where I grew up. And this is the problem with many of us who come in contact with the shamanic worldview, who make their experiences with spirits, but yet can't believe that what they experienced is real because it is just so out of your normal way to experience the world. Whereas if you would have been, brought up in a more indigenous environment, this is complete normal. Everyone I met on this festival was convinced, not only convinced, they know that spirits are real because this is something that experienced them from their very early life on, and that they are practicing every day. They're in contact with spirits every day. So this is just like with them, brushing teeth. And I like to compare it with, for example, gravity or wind. Both you can't see. You can't see the wind as such or gravity, but you can feel its presence. The wind that's going through your hair or through the leaves of a tree, or when it's very windy and stormy, you can see that even trees fall over. And it's not just because you could see the wind, but the direct effects of the wind. This is how you can see it, how you can experience it. The wind on your skin, you can feel it. Or the same thing with gravity. You can't really see it. You can't be sure that it's there, but you can experience it because you are not just, floating around here. We're all having our feet on the ground, and this is how you make sense of it. And so you can do the same thing with your shamanic experience, that you can experience through all of your senses the presence of spirits and the causes of them. Like if you do go on a shamanic journey and you ask your spirit animal, I need the answer to a certain question. And then you get an answer and you implement the answer in your life and you will see changes. This is also an indirect experience of your spirits, not only through the shamanic journey directly, but also through the consequences that when you follow the advice of your spiritual helpers, you will see the consequences in your life. And sometimes in a way that you really think like, I would have been able to figure this out myself like this, in such a beautiful way where everything comes back to balance, that maybe you are healing from an illness that you have for a long time and these kind of things. So it definitely has something to do with making the decision that whatever you experience is real, whether it's the wind. You can't be sure that the wind is real. You can just tell it by you feel it and you see the consequences of the wind or the gravity. You feel it with your senses. And it's the same with the shamanic work. You feel it, you experience it. That's why Michael Harner, he has been the founder of the core shamanism, where he kind of brought all the common denominators of the different indigenous people together who have this worldview of, everything is alive and has a spirit, he brought it together with the core elements. And he says that shamanism is nothing that you believe in. Spirits are nothing that you believe in, but it is something that you have to experience. It's a path of knowledge, not a path of faith. And I think this just really hits it on the head. So let me give you three things that you can implement in your shamanic work so that you are become more sure about yourself. Because as I said, I'll get this question all the time from people starting with their shamanic work and practice. How do I know this is real? How do I know that I'm not imagining all of this? How do I know that spirits are not something I'm just making up and I'm losing my mind here? So the first thing is that you really decide that whatever you experience is real, just as you experience your environment, the sun, the water on your skin, the air, the wind. You can't be sure that this is all real, but at one point you decided that this is real. This is how I experience my environment. So making that decision for yourself that whatever you experience is real is something that we can really improve your shamanic work. That stop doubting yourself. Really, that whatever you experience, no matter whether it's within your shamanic practice or your daily experience, that you trust your emotions, you trust your senses. The problem is if you have like a past like me. I grew up in a very narcissistic household, and I know the word narcissism is something that has been used. It's kind of like inflationary, you would say. Like I don't know. It's been used a lot, even in maybe in a context that where it's not appropriate. But I can definitely say with all my heart and all my knowledge that I definitely have or had a very narcissistic environment where I grew up as a kid and as a teenager, and where also gaslighting was a problem. Gaslighting means that someone tries to tell you that whatever you experience is not real. It comes from I think that was actually a theater play that had been shown in 1936 or something. I'm not sure, but someone around this time, the early 40s, and where a husband was able to get rid of his wife when he proved that she is a bit mental. That she can just go into a mental a place for people who have mental illnesses. I don't know what the English word is. Anyways, so and in order to achieve that, there was that one situation, and that play is about that, where a man came home and they had these lamps, these gas lamps. So he kind of turned down the gas lamp a little bit every day. And so his wife is like, isn't it getting darker in here, or what is the problem? And he says, no, darling, everything is fine. It's just like always. I don't know what you know and what you see or don't see. It's just as bright as always in this room, until they sit in complete darkness. So he completely switched off that gas lamp, and she's like, what the hell? It is dark. I can't even read my papers anymore. Like, and he's sitting there reading in his papers, pretending that it's all good, nothing happened. And so she eventually lost her mind, because she's like, okay, I can't trust my senses anymore. Then I think I'm mental. And this is what sadly, unfortunately, happens, that some people do in order to manipulate others to use this technique of gaslighting, which happened to me as a kid as well. My mother, I caught my mother a couple of times where she was cheating on my dad, even in their bed, in their bedroom, their marriage bedroom. And so every time this happened, she told me that I imagined everything, that I haven't seen this whole thing, that it was my fault, and that nothing happened, nothing happened. And I believed her. I believed her the first time. I believed her the second time. Then later on, not so much anymore because I got older and I really questioned her as an authority. But when you are a kid or a young teenager, then of course you trust more in the opinion of your adult and your parents than in your own perception of the world. And this is a horrible thing, because later on, these people, and me included, I had problems with really having a self-confident and being sure about my perception of the world. If you don't know that it's real what you're perceiving, how are you able to make decisions for your life? How are you able to navigate in your life? It's almost impossible. You're always unsure about everything, and it is horrible. It's a horrible feeling. So if this is the case, then I think it's specifically hard for you to really, trust your senses, because this is something you have been trained not to. And I can highly recommend you to look into forms of therapy. With me, shamanic work really helped also with this whole gaslighting thing. And this also expresses in, for example, that I had to check a couple times that I closed the door before leaving, although I knew I closed the door and locked it, but I had to go back a couple times to make sure that it's also locked, or that I switched off the stove, and these kind of things, that I, kind of have all my lights out before leaving the house, and doing it over and over and over and over again until I kind of was sure that everything is all right. But it just took so much time and nerves in my life. It was awful. So eventually the shamanic work helped me also to really get back into this certainty about myself and my self-confidence, and that my self-perception is real. So that might be an issue when you start the shamanic work, specifically because, as I said, spirits, the presence of spirits, it's not something that we are all been brought up with in our childhood, because it's not really part of the Western worldview. But yet it is real. Spirits are real, and you can experience it through your shamanic work. So, as I said, the first thing is really decide for yourself that everything you perceive, including the connection to your own spirits, to your helping spirits, is real. You're not imagining all of this. Number 2 is that you have more of these experiences. It is a bit when I have an experiment that I have to plan. And for example, back then I worked with my rabbits. So I observed a lot of rabbits in order to find out how they behave, like the city rabbits, if they behave differently than the ones living in the rural areas. And if I would have just observed one rabbit, that would have not given me any information. If that rabbit would have done something that would have been just so out of my idea, that's like, oh, I don't know, I've just imagined that. Another nice example is when someone who lived in an area where there was never snow, so maybe from the Amazonas, there was no snow, and then all of a sudden they come to Europe and they see snow for the first time. There's like, oh my god, what is this? Something white comes from the sky. Like, they must freak out if they've never heard about snow any before in their whole life, and then they see snow for the very first time. Then you might also think, oh my god, I'm losing my senses here. If it happens a second time, if it happens a third time, a fourth time, and so on and so forth, then you might think, well, I might be wrong once, but twice, 3 times, 4 times. So the more you have of these experiences, the more you connect with your helping spirits, the more you will really get this experience of the connection to them, and you become more and more sure of yourself that what you experience is real. And you also experience it in different ways all of the time. Like with the snow, you not only see it snowing, like heavy snow, light snow, then will also stick on the ground. You can maybe even going with skiing. So you have a different experience of this thing in different ways, and that will give you also different experiences that will make you more sure of yourself that what you experience is real. And so also with the spirits. That's the second point. Have more of these experiences. Practice shamanism as much as you can. Connect with your spirits in many different ways on a shamanic journey, or you call them to you with your spirit animal. Maybe you want to merge with your spirit animal and do the spirit animal dancing, these kind of things. So have different experiences with them. And the third part is that you exchange with other people who are also shamanic practitioners. This is the same thing with the snow, as an example. It is different if you are standing there all on your own and no one else is there who has the same experience with you, or if someone is standing next to you who is experienced, who is maybe from that area, who's from Switzerland. It's like, well, yeah, that's snow, seen it a million times. That nothing special. This is snow. So, and this is the same thing when you're working shamanically, when you start going to other shamanic groups where like a drum circle and you can work with others, then this is where the magic happens, because two things. The first thing is that others also have experience with their spirits, and then you can share and you can exchange and see how they are experiencing things. And this will give you a lot of assurance for yourself. And the second thing is, if you journey for someone else, like if you ask your spirits for a question someone else has, and then you come back with an answer that is so spot on that you will receive information that you can't know, then this is another level of your shamanic work where you realize, this is something I can't know. How is that possible that I know this information? Like, I'll give you an example. I had it so many times in my praxis where I come back from a shamanic journey with information for my client that were so spot on I couldn't know. For example, the name of the father of my client or the dog's name of my client. A friend of mine, she lost her wallet. So I went on a journey and I asked, where is her wallet? And I saw how she stepped out of the car, and while she was doing it, the wallet fell out of her jacket in between her car seat and the door, and exactly where she found it in the middle world, in the real world. Or a friend of mine, she missed some important papers that she needed, and I saw them being stuck in another paper stack. So then this is exactly where she found them. And these kind of things happened over and over and over until I really decided for myself, like, this can't be coincident. Like, the only explanation is that spirits are real, that I'm getting this information from them, and period. This is it. Just to make sure that you always have the permission if you work for someone else. I just want to mention that again. Usually when you are in drum circles, this is kind of like, given, but I'm just saying, like, just don't go around and try to journey for someone else or try to get information from your spirits for someone else where you don't have the permission for. Really having these 3 points in your life. First, you make the decision that your experience is real. Second, you practice more and more and you get in touch with your spirits. And number three, sorry. And number 3 is that you are exchanging yourself with other people who are also shamanic practitioners, specifically people maybe who already have more experience than you do, and who can help you and exchange with you, and just really you can practice. And then you will see over time that more and more this will blow your mind, and it's like a mind stretch in the beginning. But if you make this if you make this jump, sorry, I don't know what's going on today. If you make this jump, this mental stretch, you will see, my goodness, all the experience you will have, they will blow your mind. It's amazing. Shamanism, shamanic work is amazing. Yeah, nothing else to say. Also, a client just asked me, but how do I know that I'm not imagining the things on my shamanic journey? This is also something that you will see with time. These journeys will become so complex, so detailed. Like, I don't know about you, but I don't have so much fantasy. Like, I wouldn't be able to come up with all this stuff just by myself. Specifically when, as I said later on, you will get information that you can't know, and then you can verify them in the real world. And this is how it goes, right? So, yeah, as I said, again, I'll just want to mention that quote from Michael Harner where he said, shamanism is not a path of faith, but a path of knowledge. And just really experience it yourself. This is the main message of this video, that everything you experience is real. Just as the wind in your hair, the sun on your skin, it's the same thing as if you connect with your spirit helpers. And I wish for you that eventually you can fully embrace this, because I think this will enrich your shamanic work a lot when you finally make the decision that, whatever you experience is real, and that you're giving also this, I want to say that it has also something to do with the respect towards your helping spirits, because if you don't believe they are real, right? It's like you having a good friend and you think they're not real. That takes away their existence. And this is actually something horrible to do, right? So at one point, I think it's really also has to do with the respect that you have towards your helping spirits. They are real, and you acknowledge them as real. And you do it in different ways while working with them, while merging with them, while, I don't know, dancing with them, whatever you want to do, give them gifts, presents, just as they would be your friends in the real world, in the middle world where you have your normal friends, just, quote, normal friends. This is something I really, really wish for everyone, specifically for your helping spirits, because they deserve it. By the way, this is also something that will help you with your manifestation. I'm talking about manifestation a lot in my videos because I think it is a very cool technique, a very cool tool that you can use to create your own life. And it is, in my point of view, it is a very shamanic tool. So with manifestation, it has to do with that you in your, you close your eyes and you imagine the things that you want to. It's kind of also going on a shamanic journey. You can ask your spirits, please show me the life that would fulfill me. What could I do in order to feel happy, feel beautiful, feel loved? What do I need to attract into my life? And then you will see maybe some pictures will come up. And this is just as real as your 3D experience today. It is in that moment you are living this life. You feeling all these things. Maybe you see like your future partner on the shamanic journey, and you can feel the love between you. You can feel how happy you are, your smile, how beautiful you are. Or you want to lose weight, and on a journey you can experience yourself already. You might see yourself in the mirror with 10 kilos less. And you can see how it feels like, how you are, having new clothes on you, how you go shopping. This is real in that very moment. It's not imagined. This is real because you experience it as real, and you can take that experience back into your middle world, into your everyday, ordinary reality, and say, well, I already experienced that. So this is real. This is out there. This can happen to me, and I can attract it to me when I really believe that this is real. So this is the core essence of manifestation as well, that you don't distinguish between the things you experience in your everyday life, your ordinary reality, like right now. This is just as real as when I'm connecting with my spirits, when I'm closing my eyes, and when I'm doing shamanic journeying, and also asking for an experience that I would like to have. Experiencing the same thing is as real as what you experience here in the 3D. This is actually more real because I think I mentioned it in one of my other videos. I asked my spirits, what is reality? And I said, everything that you experience on a shamanic journey, for example, which is the non-ordinary reality, this is the real reality. This is where everything starts. This is where everything has its source. And then from there, it goes into the ordinary reality, your 3D reality, that what you experience as physical. So this is actually not the reality from the shamanic point of view, what my spirits told me. So if you are able to see everything, what you experience on, your shamanic journey, when you have your visualizations, that this is just as real as what happens right now, right here, then you're good to go. Then your manifestations are done. Because the problem is that when you put more importance on what you can see, well, now the sun is coming out, look at this. If you put more importance on the things that you can see in your 3D reality, like, you come back from a visualization or shamanic journey where you experience yourself 10 kilos lighter, and then you're on your normal, ordinary reality where you have the 10 kilos plus on you, and you're like, oh, I just imagined this, now I'm back in this old body. And you take it as proof that what you just experienced, you imagined, then this is the problem. You need to try to detach yourself from what you experience in the 3D right now and what you experienced in your visualization, for example, or your shamanic journey, where you say, okay, this what I'm experiencing right now, is this more like a past experience? You can still feel in your body as if you would have lost the 10 kilos. You can still feel light. You can still feel happy. And you go back into that experience that you just had because you know how it feels like. And this is how you kind of bridge the gap between what is going on right now in the ordinary reality, and this is what you want to have, what you already experienced in the non-ordinary reality. So bridge the gap by still being in this feeling and the experience that you had when you experience the situations that you want. I hope that makes sense. Did I explain that right? So just to sum it up, again, with manifestation, it's the same thing. If you decide that everything you experience when you do your visualization, when you do your shamanic journeying, when you do your affirmations, the way you feel in that very moment is just as real as the real 3D, that when you come back from your shamanic journey, it's just as real what you experienced in the shamanic journey or the visualization. All right. Thank you very much for watching. If you have problems with doubting yourself, please leave me a comment. And also, if you have maybe another tip how to overcome this doubt, something I haven't mentioned in this video, then please leave me a comment and we can chat about this. I would love to. If you want to learn more about shamanism, then I have a whole lot of videos here on my playlist. You can go through. It's also about manifestation, for example, and yeah, a lot of cool things to explore. If you're interested in a session with me, a shamanic work, that's possible, even if you're not from my area, which is close to Berlin, Potsdam, then shamanic work can also be done on long distance. So then you can check out on my down below down below on my video is my email, and my website is not in English yet, but my email you will find there, and then you can get in touch with me. Thank you very much for watching, and see you next time. Bye bye.